Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about an apparent final resolution, apparent being the operative word, I'll get back to that, between the administration and Columbia University. Okay, recall what happened here. The administration has alleged, and this has been their sort of lever to get in there and threaten billions of dollars in federal funds to Columbia, that Columbia violated federal civil rights laws by not adequately protecting Jewish students or other objects of anti-Semitism by people who were demonstrating in Columbia in favor of Palestinians and Gaza in the wake of October 7th. And there is pretty strong consensus that Columbia messed up in a few ways, could have done better. Their president, Claire Shipman, acting president, has sort of, taken it on the chin, but also found herself booed at the commencement by pro-Palestinian or Gaza constituencies. So it's the kind of thing that would have been a bona fide scandal for a university anyway, but not something that you would have had the administration come in and throw its weight around. And they've done it, and they basically have succeeded here, although Columbia gets out of it, and this is why they did it, much less damage than it might have been. So basically, they are paying a couple $100 million in to settle these supposed civil rights violations that the administration brought. And they're also settling an investigation brought by the EEOC for similar subject matter here for about another 21 million. And in return, the whole sort of, MO here has been Trump coming into universities or law firms, whatever, and saying, I'm going to take all this money away from you, that the U.S. is now folding its hand on. They're going to give back the hundreds of millions of dollars in research grants and the like. And that's really what the dynamic has been, right? We've had this very productive for the country kind of partnership between the federal government and research universities that really all goes to the benefit of people who get are able to have measures that are developed in health and medicine done in universities actually brought to bear for their own lives. That aspect of it seems to have been forgotten. But anyway, with this argument that other administrations wouldn't have brought about, you violated civil rights laws, Columbia says, okay, here's $200 million and we'll settle those. And the administration says, we'll also drop the $100 million against you. So why did I say up front that it looks like it's done? So, recall how Trump does business. He just says stuff, and it's very casual and not written down. And it seems only as far as his next tantrum that anybody can depend on the actual understanding they've reached with the administration. So let me read you what the acting president, Claire Shipman, said. This is an important step forward after a period of sustained scrutiny and institutional uncertainty. Importantly, it safeguards our independence, a critical condition for academic excellence and scholarly exploration that is vital to the public interest. So there she's making that point. What this actual independence refers to is the administration, the Trump administration, was making noises about putting them in a kind of receivership, the sort of thing you do with police forces that have a pattern and practice of violating the Constitution. You set up a consent decree, it's overseen by the court, and that can really, really inhibit the independence of a university. Presumably somebody advising a court would be weighing in on curriculum, hiring, etc. So Columbia doesn't have to do that. On the other hand, here's what Trump had to say, and of course, in Truth Social, He praises them for doing what is right, he says they have committed to ending their ridiculous DEI policies, admitting students based only on merit, and protecting the civil liberties of their students on campus. I haven't read the agreement. I'm not even sure one even exists, but I tend to doubt that Columbia has said we will end all our DEI policies, whatever they are. Remember, it's always this sort of nether ground where some of the things that universities do are perfectly lawful. Others, the administration might say are not. But the question is, what about these ones that are lawful? And I think there's a further discovery to be had. I mean, we're going to learn about whether or not. I think Columbia thinks we are done now and the big boot is off our neck. But Trump is saying they have to end DEI policies, and those are widespread within campuses. Admit students, so do no kind of advantages for for any kind of racial groups or whatever. And I don't think that that's what Columbia has agreed to do. So this saga could continue. Nevertheless, the bottom line is, let's say it's all over. It's a little bit like the law firms that played ball. Columbia was in a bit of a weak position because of what it had done, but it could easily have continued to fight the way Harvard is. Clearly, what the administration was doing with its millions of dollars had a very tenuous connection at best to the ostensible violations of federal civil rights law. That's come up in the Harvard case where Judge Burroughs has said, how is having these kinds of hires or whatever, how's that serving the cause that you say animates the whole agreement, expurgating anti-Semitism from the school and the like. So they could have done the same fight, but they started in a weaker position. They've been beaten up quite a bit. So, the worst won't happen, but I have to say that Columbia kind of gets put in the category, and we see this in the law firms as well, of people who capitulate. $200 million is not cheap, but they were really threatening the administration to make it much, much worse, and that means for students and people. And so they obviously judged it worth their while in the long run, even though it's nothing that we, would have seen or predicted before Donald Trump came to town. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.